So I started this project back in January 2014. I had just started kind of getting into colorisation really, and I put a video out on YouTube. I rather naively, after the success of that first colorisation, thought, oh, I'll just do a whole episode. You know, how hard could it be? 6 years later, we finally finished it.
Operation Inferno to be put into execution.
We say it's taken 6 years. The reality is it's taken nowhere near that long. It started as just a project I was doing. Then we brought Kieran in, then Scott, and then Justin. Then the whole thing kind of really took off.
Richard and Scott invited me to be part of this project in 2017 when they saw a colorisation I put online from The Celestial Toymaker, episode 4. And they gave me a shot to do as a test to start off with, which was the shot of the 4 main characters looking out at the burning jungle, which has a smoke overlay over top of it, which was very difficult to do.
Basically, I'll do a rubbish job and Kieran will fix it. Richard will tell us both off. Justin's always busy. This is why it's taken 6 years.
You know, in that time I've got married, had 2 kids, moved house. It's just been kind of a labour of love that we've just done in the background. And it's been great fun. It's been a great distraction at times.
No power in this universe can stop the Daleks.
This project was done almost entirely in Premiere Pro and After Effects. There's a real eagerness to just get on with it, to get the crayons out and start colouring in. But the reality is you need to do the basics first or your colorisation won't look good. We would take the footage, restore it, do an awful lot of work to the print to make it as good as it could possibly be before we even start thinking about adding colour to it. And then we found colour references and we remastered the audio. And so by the end of it, you know, we'd removed cameras that came into shot. We completely rebuilt the titles. There's little things where you see a stagehand and we've completely removed them. They weren't intended to be in the final product. So, you know, we've got the technology available now to fix that. So that's exactly what we did.
Well, young man, you better pull yourself together. We got some work to do.
We broke the whole episode up into individual shots that went on a spreadsheet. They all got assigned to one person.
I was mainly responsible for the jungle shots as well as the skin tones for a lot of it and the final grade across all the shots of the episode, which I did to make sure everything was consistent.
It was very collaborative. And I say, guys, what do you think of this? I feel like I've got as far as I can with it. Kieran would invariably jump on and improve the skin tones. Scott would then just make it come to life and pick out loads of awesome details. Justin would then feed back on it with a fresh pair of eyes and give us more stuff that we could improve. It was just a really collaborative process, yeah, it worked really well.
I'm taking over this spaceship, over there.
Colorisation throws up literally millions of questions and you're not going to have colour references for everything. You know, was Brett Vyron's buckles supposed to be silver or bronze or gold? So you do have to make some sort of judgment calls. More often than not, we'd take a vote on it and whoever kind of won that we'd go with. If it was a tie, which sometimes it was, then I would just make the executive decision.
Don't act without thinking. I never do and never shall.
Everyone had their own challenges and their own shots they found difficult.
Ultimately, I think one of the most challenging shots I did was Mavic Chen behind the bars. You've got the jungle on fire. You've got this reflection of the flames on their faces and the bars. I did all of that manually in After Effects, rotoscoping all the elements, just so I could have complete control over the hues and saturation of every part of it.
Shot 90 for me was an absolute nightmare. All the camera swinging around, delegates running, Daleks whizzing across the screen. The movement and the motion blur was crazy. You were constantly having to go in and pretty much guess where one hemisphere of a Dalek was from one frame to the next, you know. And if you get that stuff wrong, it looks terrible and it spoils the effect. And what I really wanted to achieve with this project is for people to, after the first kind of 5 minutes, to forget they were watching a colorisation and to just enjoy a brilliant episode of Doctor Who. And if you make a mistake in the colorisation, it destroys that spell instantly. You know, I think colorisation needs to be like a good referee. When they're doing a good job, you don't notice it. And I think that's the same with colorisation.
And I'm in charge of this situation. Will you shut up?
So naturally there's going to be people that just dislike colorization, and that's fine. Some people you're just never going to change their mind, and that's absolutely fine. We're not destroying the original black and white negatives here. You know, people have got that on their DVD shelf at home in the Lost in Time box set for this episode.
In fact, the BBC have been doing some colorization to 60s Doctor Who as recently as the Series 12 finale, and the missing episode animations are rendered in colour as well.
We just want to offer people a choice, and there's a lot of people who have never seen 60s Doctor Who in colour, and I think that might open up this incredible, fantastic era, and in my opinion the best era of the show, to an audience of people who otherwise wouldn't give it the time of day. I also think people's preconceptions of colorization is often shaped by the rather kind of computer generated and dodgy colorizations of the late 80s, early 90s. There was a few films done particularly that are really quite shoddy. I would say nowadays, if you're doing it manually and you're putting the time in and you're not relying on kind of automized software, you can still create stuff that's almost perfect, you know, and could fool the layperson. So it's worth putting that time in, because it can be achieved to a standard that is quite frankly incredible nowadays.
His usefulness is over.
It wasn't an artistic decision to film Doctor Who in black and white. This is tea time viewing on a Saturday night for the BBC. This wasn't Citizen Kane. It was in black and white because of the budgetary restraints. If they could have afforded to do it in colour, I'm absolutely certain they would have done. William Hartnell himself is on record saying he would have loved the show to have been in colour. So, you know, this is for you, Bill. I hope you enjoy it.
And this may be our only chance.
In terms of availability, you know, we want to get this out there. Obviously, we spent a long time on it. We think the standard that we've achieved is very high, and we want people to appreciate it and enjoy watching this episode in a whole new way. That said, we don't own Doctor Who, we don't own the copyright of it, and we can't just go sending around a 25-minute episode. We don't want to upset anyone, least of all the BBC, but yeah, hopefully we can get their approval and we can get it seen by a few people.
Stop the creature! Stop the creature!
We're really grateful that Gallifrey 1 in LA is going to be giving it the world premiere, and Kieran is flying out there all the way from Australia.
I attended and spoke briefly on stage with Gary Russell about the project and how it was achieved. And it was rumoured about 1,000 people. And I got a number of people come up to me afterwards and say very complimentary things about what they liked about the colorisation and their favourite parts, which I was very grateful for.
Now will you shut up?
And we've got the UK premiere coming up because it's going to be screened at G'day the Doctor in London on May 9th, which Richard's going to attend to talk about the project a bit, and it's going to be attended by Peter Purvis himself, which we're very much looking forward to. We are looking at doing more. I personally would like to finish The Celestial Toymaker, which I started, and as a group we're looking at doing another episode altogether. And I'm also in the preliminary stages of working on a colorization of a reconstruction of episode 8 of the Daleks Master Plan made by someone called Josh Snares. So that may materialise at a later date as well.
We're so incredibly happy with the result. It was definitely worth all the hard work.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Josh Snares YouTube channel.